Journeyman, how we doing? It's 2025, guys. What does that mean? That means new year, new me, as people always say. So I wanted to make a video while I'm doing my mobility today, just to give you guys an update on where the book is at, right? 196 pages, 56,335 words. And the goal of this video is to give you guys the motivation. I think it's appropriate to talk about the motivation behind the book and who the book is for and what can you learn from the book. So the motivation behind writing this book was really quiet desperation of wanting to understand myself and really wanting to understand the world around me. So before we get started, I just want to tell you a story real quick. Growing up, I, like most, didn't understand what the fuck was going on around me. And I don't say that in a joking manner. I mean, I grew up in a single family household. My family still is, entrenched in addiction. And it was really tough for me to distinguish right and wrong growing up, to the point where I've made tremendous amount of mistakes. And I used to blame my family instead of taking on the burden for myself. So the motivation behind writing this book was to give myself really an environment to compress my negative thoughts and emotions into pages for your benefit. Excuse me. Furthermore, it was to understand myself through the experiences in which I had growing up, all the way through the end of my military career. And that comes from setbacks, that comes from perceived failures, not setbacks, perceived failures. That comes from the embarrassing and shameful moments that I brought upon myself and what I've learned from them. That brought upon my inability to function with a team and what I learned from that. That brought communication skills that I lacked, emotional intelligence, that was a huge thing, communication, finding a mentor, all like the important shit you need in your life that I didn't have, that I wasn't taught, and I had to firsthand learn it, which is fine. Most people learn through firsthand experience, but the goal of this book is the motivation behind this book was to give people just an idea of what my life was like, to hopefully help you learn from my experiences, because I don't want anyone to fucking learn the same way I learned, in terms of I don't want you to repeat the same mistakes I did, or there's no point of fucking living your own life, right? You're just living someone else's life. So that's kind of the motivation, to give myself an environment to work through my own trauma and compress it into some pages and lessons learned for your benefit, the reader, and myself, really. Because I've grown tremendously from writing and looking at things in such a critical manner, to the point of each sentence. So that's kind of the motivation. Who is the book for? To be honest, the book was for me, right? The book was for anyone that really struggled with self-confidence. The book was for anyone like myself had very poor communication skills, didn't understand what a mentor was and how to find one and how to seek out guidance. Didn't understand just relationship building and how to speak to people. Even further, didn't understand the internal dialogue, how to have compassion for oneself rather than just this pure, unadulterated hatred towards the way I handled situations. Instead of carrying myself with grace and truth, I often did the opposite. And when you run an engine off of improper fueling for too long, it tends to have a malfunctioning effect, and that's essentially what I was having. Fucking mental breakdowns, not good, right? And if you find yourself like that, a little bit depressed, a little bit needed counseling, that was me. PTSD, all that good stuff, OCD, OCPD, all the labels, right? I had them. Or I was given them, right? I was told to take every pill under the sun, go to treatment. I was even told to, at one point, to seek guidance from a clinic, which is called a mental hospital clinic, like an inpatient stay, like I'm fucking insane. That type of stuff. So I got to that level, but I also got to the level where I'm at today, where I can function as a normal human being. I'm fit. I love my life. I make over 6 figures. Life's good. I don't take any pills. I've learned the appropriate coping mechanisms in order to function as a normal human being. Not even function, but thrive. Not comparing myself to anyone else, but thriving compared to where I was to where I'm at now. So that's who the book is for. If you went all the way down there and now you want to be here, and I'm not, again, I'm not, I don't think I'll ever be a household name, right? But at the end of the day, if I help one fucking person, if I improve one person's life, then that's what I'm here to set out to do. Because I do not want people to repeat the mistakes that I made throughout my life. And I'm 30 now. And if I can do that, then I won. I really did. I'm happy and successful, and that's what I want. That's kind of my mission, to improve other people's lives at the expense of my own embarrassing stories. So that's who the book is for. So what can you learn from it? I spoke a little bit about it, but you can learn how to learn. That's number 1, simply put. You can learn how to learn not only in the first-hand experience, but the second-hand experience. I didn't understand that until I was an adult, where I can now see other people's experiences and learn from that and learn what not to do and learn what to do. Critical skill right there. Communication. You can learn self-dialogue, or you can learn about your self-dialogue. You can learn how to have fucking compassion for yourself when you fall on your face. You can learn how to laugh. That was one thing I didn't understand, laughing, and just how serious I was about life, and just if it didn't happen then, or if it didn't happen the way that I wanted it to, it was just fucking enraged me. So I didn't and that came from a lot of OCD tendencies of where I had to do something in a certain manner in order for it to work out correctly, and in order for me to be proud of myself. XYZ had to happen. So another thing to learn from is not tying your identity to the outcome and rather tie it to the daily effort that you have and that you put in to something. Fucking life-changing moment right there. So let me say that again. Do not put your, and this is something you'll learn through my experience, do not tie your identity to something that you've done and tie it to the daily effort that you give or that you put into yourself and to other things around you. Big thing. I also learned values, what they were, what they're not, the difference between that and goals. I learned how to show up for yourself. Emotional intelligence was a big thing. This is so embarrassing, but I didn't even understand what that phrase, what those two words together meant. I never heard of that until I got out of the military, if you believe that. I was 26 years old when I first heard that term, emotional intelligence. And I became fascinated with it. So, you'll understand a little bit more about that, which will in turn understand yourself and being able to identify the triggers and what triggers you and how you feel when you get triggered and how can you respond is more appropriate, and how not to hold fucking grudges against people, and how to deal with the emotion of, let me just back up. Most people give too much power to other people. That's what I realized. And that's something that you can learn from my stories, where I gave so much power to so many people that I would often say things like, man, this person fucking pissed me off. But the reality is there's two realities. There's the one that you tell yourself, and then there's actual fucking reality. So I would often say, man, these guys fucking pissed me off, or this person did this and it pissed me off. But when you do that, through my experience, I've learned that you're giving that person too much power, number one, and number two, you're responsible for how you respond to things. And it's not that the person pissed you off, it's you allowed yourself to be pissed off. That is one thing. If you just get that from the book, there you fucking go. Because that was a huge thing. That took years. I'm talking years of anger, just stress, being pissed off at everything. To understand that simple reality, simple fact. So I'll say it again. You control how you respond to other people's shit. That's the only thing you can control. So do not give people power by saying, this person pissed me off. No, you allowed that person to piss you off. So that is a huge thing that you can learn from this book. So to wrap it up, talked about the book. We talked about 2025, where we're going, pumped up for the future. And second thing is the motivation behind the book. Why did I spend 2-3 years writing this book, editing it? And why did I put these embarrassing stories in there for your benefit? Number two, who is the book for? Anyone that wants to read it, in short. Anyone that needs to develop some skills in terms of mentoring, menteeing, being a mentee, a mentor, communication, emotional intelligence, learning from my experience. If any of that sounds good for you, then I'll have an option for you at the end of the video. And number three was, what can you learn? You can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from these experiences and the mistakes. And when I say, I use words, I try to think about the words that I use, and I say perceived failures because at the moment, I didn't understand how to distinguish a failure from a setback. And I talk about that in the book. So that's that's a huge lesson that I learned as well. A lot of fucking nuggets are in this book, seriously. So the common story or the theme of the book or throughout the book is the fact that I continued to try even if I didn't know what I was doing, even if my internal dialogue was not always good. I continued to push myself and try, and failed, perceived fails, and got back up and another perceived fail, and then I understood what a setback was, and then emotional intelligence and communications and all this stuff. So that is for your benefit. So if this sounds like it's for you, and I know this was 15 minutes long, probably going to be 18 minutes long or something. If this is for you, then here's what I'm going to do. The book or the manuscript is written by me and it's done, but I am editing, or I have an editor. I paid an editor $500 big bucks. It was like 560, but it's a lot of money for me when you're a broke kid, when you were a broke kid your whole life. If that's for you, then comment below if you watched the video the whole way. Thank you. And when I'm done, if this sounds like you can benefit from this, comment below the word read, and I will look back whenever the manuscript comes back from the editor and I read it one more time. I'm going to send it to you guys for free so you can check it out. Again, I'm not here to make millions of dollars off this book. If that happens, then cool. But my main goal about writing this book was not to fucking make money. It was to impact people's lives. And if I can do that, then I have won and I'm very successful with my life. That's what I hope for you guys to gain. So, love you guys. Again, comment below, read, READ, and I'll check the comments when the edited version of the book comes back to me, and I will give you guys the opportunity to read this book. So, again, it's called The University of Adversity. It's the year 2025. Have a great start of the year, and see you guys in the next one. Journeyman out.